Hey, ladies and gentlemen, name's Ward Howard. Today I'm here to kind of review this. Oh, yeah. I got this at a pawn shop along with a kukri machete. I did a video about it a little while back. I did use to cut a stump and everything else up with it. It was not. It was, I think this one was actually cheaper than the kukri was, and I like the kukri a lot better. I don't think I'm saying that right. Anyways, I got this for maybe like around 10 to 20 bucks at a pawn shop. It's kind of just like a simple dagger-esque thing. It isn't too bad. But I got a few things about this that I don't entirely like. For one, the handle. It's really polished, as you can kind of tell, which, to be honest, does not help much in the long run, since it kind of makes it a little bit more slippery. Which is obviously you don't want a handle which you can't really use that well, otherwise, because if it's uncomfortable, it's not going to be very effective to use. If it's like misshapen, you're not going to be able to grip it well enough. And as for this, it's a little bit more slick. So if you were to able to cut or do anything with it, you might slip. Your hand might, move out of place, which that might screw up the cut itself. As you can see, the handle's made out of polished wood. As what I'm assuming is, I just want to say, gold-plated steel. I suppose could just be spray painted as far as I know. Same goes for the crossguard here. The weight itself is balanced. I did this a while ago. Yeah, right there, right at the hilt. Crossguard. This, to me personally, it seems like more like a thrusting dagger, which basically be more like a sort of like a fencing tool, so to speak. But the problem with it is that it's kind of a thick blade, to be honest. I think for like a knife. Like I got a combat knife in my closet, but it's if you're supposed you can use it to cut branches and all that, do it for some rough cutting. But this one, it's really thick. Let's see, it kind of slims down towards the tip here, but even so, it's somewhat thicker than a lot of other blades would be. And my guess is that this is mostly supposed to be used for thrusting, which for that you might want a thinner tip, because the wider an area, the thicker it is, the harder it would be to pass through clothing, since it requires more pressure on a wider area. So this here, it's not bad. I had to sharpen it a bit when I got it because it was really freaking dull. Still is kind of dull. Can't really cut through hair that well. Some parts look like a little bit hilt here above it. I don't know what it is. I think it's supposed to just keep the crosscut here kind of firmly latched on. But it's kind of heavy. I mean, for partially being made of wood, it's kind of heavy. I've had big combat daggers, which is weigh a lot less than this. Even one of my machetes, which is a lot bigger, weighs less than this. The steel itself doesn't even look that much good, to be honest. You can see it kind of has a straight point there. Like I said, it's rather thick, and it's only like very close to the edge here, where it really kind of tapers down a bit, which honestly isn't really that good of a thing. Of course, then you got the pommel here, which is somewhat heavy. It all feels firmly latched on, which is good. So really shaking or any rattling noise to be heard, which is also very good. But my problem is with the hilt here. See, the hilt here is, like I said earlier, made out of polished wood, which generally gives it a nice look to handle. But the problem with it is that it makes it somewhat slick. I'm holding it with a pretty tight grip here, and just doing it with a little bit of power. It turns in the hand pretty well, which is not a good thing, because you need a handle that you can grip without it slipping, without it being uncomfortable. Otherwise, if you're going for a cut, you might misalign it because it might turn in your hand. Here we have like a kind of a sheath. Like I said, It doesn't seem to be made like a large manufacturer, like you would from like many of the other knives I've reviewed. There's no like name or anything on it, no like indication, signature, initials, or anything like that. Yeah, a lot of the blades I've reviewed have like a serial number on the blade itself at times. But there's none. It just kind of looks like it might be homemade, which is somewhat nice. It gives it a nice appeal. But for the most part, it's not bad. You could probably use it for like a little bit of a, for some cosplay or something like that. But generally for actual warfare, for actual fighting, I would not entirely recommend it. Like I said, it's not sharp at all. I even sharpened it a bit, but it's just a little hard because the blade is rather thick, and it's not like it like comes down to an angle to where the edges are a lot thinner. It's thick all the way around. It honestly barely even fit in my sharpener, so I had to go and use a whetstone. But for the most part, it's nice. Nothing to really write home about. I mean, the cookery that I reviewed, it also looked like it was homemade. Due to the curvature of the blade, how kind of it was kind of bent, the handle itself, the steel. Like I said, this one's not bad, but my problem is this. That's it. There's nothing to hold it there. It just slides out. It doesn't fit firmly in there. Some like katanas, when you put the blade in the sheath, you kind of have to push it up a little bit, which gives it a slight resistance, so it doesn't just like fall out at everything. But that's all it does. See? Just slides right out, and there's no latch or anything on it. There is a belt loop, which is kind of nice, but other than that, there's really nothing in there to keep it in. Like I said, you don't always need like a little hook thing there to keep it kind of stuck on, but this is just kind of dangerous. Like I say, it's a little heavier for the sort of weapon it is. The blade is much too thick. The handle is a little too well polished, I believe. Because, like I said, I'm doing it a pretty good grip. This is about the kind of strength you'd use for a handshake, not to crush their hand, kind of show a little bit of power. And as you can see, it still turns. But like I said, luckily there's no rattling or anything. I wouldn't really use this for any sort of dueling or cutting or anything similar to that. At least for any hard physical cutting. If you're going to use it for cutting, I'd say I'd rather use it more for, like bottles or thin tree branches, little twigs or anything like that. I wouldn't use it for anything like heavy. But other than that, it's decent. I wouldn't really take it out for a hunting trip, just for like a cosplay type thing. It'd be great for it. But other than that, not so much. Anyways, it's been Horty Hollywood. I'll see you all later.